A very good afternoon. Thanks for staying with us here on Republic TV. I'm Kritsween. And while the Russia-Ukraine war has entered day 18 today and Russia continues to attack several cities, Kharkiv is one such city, the second largest city in Ukraine, that has seen increasing assault day in and out. The video on your screen shows the destruction in Balakleya in the Kharkiv region. The area was shelled yesterday by Russian troops, which left the cars, windows of the buildings completely destroyed. So once again, we do see buildings being reduced to debris as the Russian assault continues. This particular visual coming in from a region in Kharkiv, wherein you can see the aftermath of shelling in this particular residential building. Viewers, what we would like to point out this afternoon, as today is day 18 of the Ukraine-Russia war, air raid alerts have been sounded in almost every region of Ukraine, every region of the country. Sirens have been activated in cities like Uman, Kharkiv, Kramatorsk, Sloviansk, Kiev, of course, Zhytomyr, Lviv as well. Lviv, remember, is in the western part of the nation, and that too has seen increasing air attack coming in from the Russian troops in the last few hours. Odessa also continues to face Russian assault. Along with that, cities like Rivne, Chernihiv, Dnipro, Cherkasy and Sumy Oblast continue to face this kind of an attack coming in from the Russian side. So certainly the situation getting worrisome by the day, and we see no end to the war situation across Ukraine. This visual coming in from Kharkiv Oblast, aftermath of shelling on your television screens, and Samiksha is joining us with more details. Samiksha, several such visuals that we're picking up from across Ukraine, and the situation in Kharkiv certainly not getting better. It's only getting worse by the day.
Absolutely, Kritsween. So these are the visuals that we are getting from the second largest city of Ukraine, which is Kharkiv. We can see on the visuals, how the residential buildings have been attacked as a result of constant airstrikes and bombardments by the Russian troops. The window panes have been destroyed. The building has been completely devastated. We can see the trail of destruction left behind as a result of the bombardments by the Russian troops. Remember, this comes in the backdrop of multiple talks that have already taken place between Russia and Ukraine. Of course, as we all know, Zelensky has called for another round of talks. In fact, he's called for a meet with Russian President Vladimir Putin and asked the Israel Prime Minister Naftali Bennett to mediate between the two countries. We really need to watch out for if this transpires or not. But as of now, constant airstrikes and bombardments continue across Ukraine. Of course, as we all know, humanitarian corridor have failed to transpire as well, even though ceasefire has been declared by Moscow multiple times. But that has also not really facilitated the evacuation of refugees from the war-torn country. Back to you.
Thank you for that, Samiksha. Quickly shifting our focus to another visual we're picking up. We get you, viewers, non-stop visuals that we are picking up from the war-torn nation. Yet another visual coming in from Kharkiv, a result of the ongoing attacks by the Russian troops. One can see missiles hitting the installation of integrated gas treatment GPU located near the village of Glazunivka in the Izium district in Kharkiv region itself. The rescue service of the 23rd HRDF arrived at the scene soon after. In fact, the firefighters, when they arrived, the operating room and the gas separator was set on fire, and rescuers shut down all valves leading to the damaged installations and pipelines and then cool them later. In fact, following this, the intensity of combustion also decreased significantly, and according to preliminary data, an employee also sustained injuries. No casualties have been reported though. So yes, we've seen another night of shelling take place in the Kharkiv region. Just a few minutes back, we showed you visuals of the aftermath of an attack that took place on one of the residential buildings. And now quickly bringing in Shavan Sen, who's been getting us non-stop live reports from the Kiev Oblast region. Shavan, over to you. Take it away. We keep putting out these visuals for our viewers. Kharkiv under increasing assault by the Russian side. What's going on where you're reporting?
Well, it's no longer just Kharkiv. Perhaps this was one of the few days where almost everyone in Ukraine woke up to the air raid alerts. Not a single region in Ukraine that was left out. Starting from Kiev itself to Cherniv, Sumy, or for that matter, even places which were completely untouched when the invasion began. That's the western side of Ukraine. In fact, we're now given to understand is that the Ukrainian officials have confirmed that there were 8 missiles that was targeting a military base, or rather a foreign center where you have humanitarian aid also being provided. This was near the Polish border, not very far from Lviv. Remember, Lviv happens to be one of those few places which is the gateway for all people who are trying to leave Ukraine. So that area which was untouched completely all this while, where missiles landed, in fact, they were prevented by the Ukrainian air defense system. Let's just quickly take our viewers through the latest update as far as the siege of Kiev is concerned, which many are already pointing out that it could become imminent. The timeline perhaps is another 24 to 96 hours is what intelligence reports are essentially suggesting. If you go by the American intelligence report as well as the British intelligence report, questions that are being asked about the movement of the Russian armored vehicles, the convoy, which now we are being told that it has been dispersed, which would essentially mean that part of it would be used for mobilizing multiple units of the Russians. You're looking at 2 very important axes moving towards Kiev, that is the northwest and the northeast axis. Now, the northwest is basically where we have seen latest images coming in from the Russian Defense Ministry of, paratrooping their troops in the Hostomel airport. That's where they've got a foothold. Then you're also looking at the old Zhytomyr highway, which perhaps could be used to move towards the western side of Kiev. And on the eastern side, if I may tell our viewers where exactly the Russians are currently, it's in a place called Bovory. Now, Bovory, some parts of it is still under the Ukrainian control, but they are trying to use the northeastern side to try and enter Kiev. So 2 very important axes. But down south of Kiev, remember, that still remains under complete control of the Ukrainians. Where exactly lies the challenge for the Russian troops right now? Remember, this is a convoy that has been moving for several weeks put together, but they haven't really been able to kind of carry out the blitzkrieg in Kiev, simply because there are multiple challenges that they are facing. There are logistical issues. Fuel becomes one of the greatest challenges that the armored vehicles are facing right now. Then you also have the food supplies, not enough food supply for the Russian troops. So it is undoubtedly getting very difficult for the Russian troops to try and carry out the siege, because if that really happens, the question is that they are going to have the upper hand as far as these negotiations are concerned. You've had earlier in the day the advisor to the president here in Ukraine suggesting that a compromise solution is trying to be worked out, a formula that's going to be worked out between both sides, Ukraine and Russia. And then as far as the other talks that are concerned, President Zelensky has already indicated that he's willing to have direct talks with President Vladimir Putin, but he wants another location and not certainly Belarus, because remember, Ukraine certainly does not trust Belarus, given the fact that their territory is being used by the Russian troops to carry out attacks in Ukraine. So they are not willing to hold any talks in Belarus. They've suggested that it could be in Jerusalem, but no word really coming in from the Russians. But experts essentially suggesting that all of this could change if Russians carry out the siege of Kiev, because that would mean that they have the upper hand, and in their negotiations they could perhaps put in stringent conditions which they want the Ukrainians to fulfill. As of now, remember, what the Ukrainians have been able to achieve is, one, safeguard Kiev, and secondly, they are also looking at a situation right now in central Kiev where their defensive positions are far harder and far better than what you're looking at from the Russian side. So net, if you really look at it, what's the situation right now on the 17th day of the invasion is that not just in Kiev, almost every district of Ukraine has now been targeted by the Russians. The latest this morning happens to be in an area not very far from Lviv in western Ukraine, and it's also been a surprise. Yesterday, Republic Media Network sent out a report from a place called Bila Serkwa, which is just about 50 miles down south of Kiev. And remember, that very place was seen as a strategic location because the supply for the Ukraine army goes in from that very city, and also the humanitarian aid for the central Kiev comes in from this place called Bila Serkwa, from where we sent that report. And you saw the large-scale devastation that's basically taken place on the ground because of the constant bombardment, the aerial bombardment that's taking place.